Hey, I'm Garrett.
And I'm Daniel.
And this is Modern Gaze. On today's episode, we are talking about pride. Padam, padam,
I hear it in the deep.
I mean, this song has taken over the gaze.
I think it's like a pride anthem.
Well, I mean, before Kylie Minogue, there were so many pride anthems, you know.
Absolutely.
And I think that just having this just soundtrack for our vibes right now is just fun. And it's like not even a song. It's just like, it's on this like repetitive.
It's an anthem.
Chorus. Yeah. It's like this anthem. It's a song that never ends. Like you can literally put it on repeat.
I love it.
Anyway, so on Pride, we're all celebrating it. We're all super excited about this celebration and just this awesome time to be alive and celebrate who we are and be really grateful that we get to do that.
Absolutely. I think there is this, like you said, excitement and buzz in the air right now. I think everyone is feeling their power and their authenticity. And they're all like, fuck yes, I am here to celebrate and conquer.
Yeah. And I think that it's a really good opportunity for us to maybe be a bit more open and
raw
with you guys and everyone that's listening. I have been very fortunate, and we both have been very fortunate to live the life we have and to be two gay men married and surrounded by supportive families. It's huge. It's really huge. We started Modern Gaze to be more authentic and to be more communicative and supportive of the community, and to also invite more people within it to share their stories and share their insight and feedback and good vibes and intense vibes. And somewhere I think that we always really fall back on is RuPaul's Drag Race. And towards the end of the race, RuPaul holds up a photo of like the younger version of one of the queens and asks them what would they like to say to their younger self. And it's a point of reflection for all the hurdles and everything that they've gone through their life. Because being within the LGBTQ plus environment, you go through a lot. A lot of people do, no matter what your background is.
Absolutely.
So maybe you should share some thoughts of
a message to my younger self.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go first?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. I said, Daniel, you are going to have an amazing life. Yes, you will get bullied and people will call you hurtful things, but there will be so many people that will love you and stand by you even when times get hard. You are a fighter and always stand up for what you believe in. One day you will realize who you truly are, and it will be a hard, tough time to share openly with your family. But as time passes, they will learn to accept you for who you are and give you all the love you need. You will meet the man of your dreams in LA, have everything you ever wanted, and won't stop until it's achieved. I love you. I'm proud of you. Keep going and always be authentically you.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah.
That's very sweet.
I actually got really emotional reading it. Oh my God, I'm even going to cry now.
Well, that's good. Feel it, you know?
Like, man, like you think about like how far you come as like, you know, this young 18-year-old, and to be here today, like on the microphone, having Modern Gaze and being married to you and like having the life that we've had. I think it's amazing. It's been a journey, but yeah, like it's been an amazing roller coaster, you know, and I would never change it for the world. Okay, your turn.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet you yours is better, just like our wedding vows.
No, mine's short and sweet.
Okay.
It was actually interesting. It was difficult to write this, but let me just get into it. Garrett, your biggest lesson to learn is to not let fear hold you back or stop you from following your dreams. Your family will love and support you in anything you dream of doing and will love you as you are, as you truly are. And that alone is a gift. You'll stumble and find heartbreak, but your resilience and power to design the future is within you. And the sooner you realize that, the faster the life that you want will come together. You're a storyteller, a dreamer, and a very emotional person. Don't fear the unknown. Lean into your imagination. Dream the biggest dreams and keep your heart open throughout all the hurdles in life because it will be full of so much love.
That's really nice.
I think, that is like fear was really held me back as a kid.
Really?
Like insane amounts. And it really came from me. It came from myself. It didn't come from...
It didn't come from your family because your parents are so amazing and so supportive.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from. Some people say that you've been put on this earth to learn the lesson or teach others a lesson. I feel like fear very much was my lesson to learn and how to navigate that and
conquer it.
And it took me 3 decades to figure that out.
Okay.
So I think that if I would have learned that as a child a little bit earlier, would have known that I had such an incredible support system around me and really just trusted that more, I didn't have to be so scared of who I really was or who I could be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think you are my biggest teacher in living fearless. I think whenever I have moments of fear, you're always the one that kind of pulls me out of it and puts me back on the right track.
Yeah. And I think it's such an incredible lifting of pressure, and weight off your shoulders when you're not scared of something and you're just really focused on trusting yourself.
Absolutely. When you're contemplating and sitting on that edge of the ledge and you want to jump off and take that risk, it's always so hard to take that leap. But once you take it, you're fearless and you're why didn't I take it earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's kind of jump into what a lot of people think pride is and what the perception of it might be from the outside, but also compare it to what it actually really is and what the root of pride is. So what do you think people might perceive pride as?
A party.
A
parade. Just a lot of half-naked guys in Speedos.
Watching a Kylie Minogue performance.
Lots of glitter, lots of rainbow.
Yes, lots of costumes.
Like you mentioned, great performances on stage. It's like a Coachella.
It is. Well, I performed at Mardi Gras back in 2015 for Danny Minogue and Nick Jonas a little while ago in Sydney. So.
Yeah, and you have World Pride, and that was in Sydney. You have all of the Pride celebrations that happen in Australia in Feb and March, and now in June it's official US season where LA kicks off and New York kicks off.
It just looks so much fun. I wish we were in LA right now.
A lot of cities, different towns are adding more decorations, and it's almost like a holiday. It's a full-on commercialized
holiday
celebration.
Yeah.
And
at least it's a month-long holiday.
I'm surprised we don't give each other cards yet. Or it's Happy Pride. And it's
right?
Maybe we should do that. Our friends would write us a card with a gay flag on the front.
And they're yes, queen.
Yes, babes, we love you.
Yes.
I mean, that actually would be nice.
I would love that. We should make it a thing.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
But at the end of the day, that's not what pride is about.
Not at all. There is so much to what pride is actually about. And I feel the older I get, the more I actually value pride and what it is actually about.
One of the things that's closest to the actual parties and the parades is celebration. The number one thing pride is about, I think, is celebration.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely a celebration. It's a celebration of who you are, who you're becoming. Maybe you just came out. Maybe your family have just accepted you. I mean, maybe you're also possibly going through some trauma and some hard times as well. But for the most part, it's about just being yourself and authentically owning that and celebrating you.
Yeah. And the idea of celebration is joyous. It's happiness. It's
elating.
Yeah. It's all these really positive emotions that are so uplifting and so just warm your soul. And you just feel so good to be alive. It's life's a party,
Life's a party. Absolutely.
And you get to, if you can really, really live without fear, like I mentioned, you can just be who you are and celebrate you, yourself, others around you, your friends and your family can celebrate you, and your chosen family can all just party and just be happy to be in existence and on this earth.
For sure. And I think that's a great point to bring up, being able to be yourself and like be you and be free. I think the second one would definitely be like pride is about feeling free. It's about
Freedom.
the feeling. Yeah. Like authentically being gay or being trans or being queer or bi or whatever it might be, non-binary. It's like you have the power to be free like a bird.
Well, the idea of freedom, it's a very important feeling to be able to feel within your soul, like within yourself.
Absolutely.
And the freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom to truly be who you are with authenticity and without fear and without having to feel like you're caged or restricted.
I feel like as for myself as a gay man, you go through moments of not necessarily feeling free. Like maybe you're in environments where you're feeling judged or you're feeling looked at or you're feeling different. You don't feel like you can be yourself. You kind of give people a version of you who you think you need to be. Whereas I feel like during Pride, everyone is so free. Everyone has their most out and proud like self, you know?
I think something that's maybe really important that I want to mention is that some people must stay in the closet or stay hidden to be safe. And I think that during Pride, it's important to really recognize that and to not judge those people who are in those experiences or in those environments. They can be living in a country where they can be killed.
Right.
They can be living in a family where they feel very unsafe.
Yep.
There could be family members that speak a certain way or have, acted in violence or threatening violence. Like it's not safe. And I think showing some support and not saying like, okay, everyone come out of the closet right now. You're going to be amazing.
Right.
It is so much better. It does get better.
It's a journey, like we said at the start.
And you really do need to seek out and find that happiness and those people and support systems that will allow you to be free. But that's like definitely the law. Like you don't feel free in those experiences and in that environment. And that maybe is its own thing, but I think they're connected.
Interesting. Well, I think that's why it's so important, right? To have that community and to have that support network with your friends or your family or...
So number 3, community.
Absolutely. Community is so important because you need support. You need a platform. You need a safe space to be who yourself and express your emotions and express your thoughts and how you're feeling and feel heard.
And you need to go out and have a fucking good time.
Absolutely.
Like you need to go out and party with your friends and make out with some, guy
it
or
is.
girl or whoever in the corner. Like you need to make some poor decisions.
And maybe,
but be surrounded by people that get it.
Yeah. And they're like, yes, queen, you just do you,
There's so many things that you go through in your queer experience that is unique and it is really special and different, and you should be able to communicate really easily without having to like over explain it.
Like Pride is all about celebrating love, loving yourself, loving the community, loving people around you. I think love is a real standout word during this time of the year.
Yeah. I mean, just like love is love, right? Like this such a simple statement, and it's a very maybe overused statement to like tie towards, LGBTQ plus people. But I think that love is beautiful. It's a very overwhelming, euphoric, stunning, kind of tingly all over feeling. And it doesn't mean it has to be romantic love. It just means it just needs to be compassion and empathy and just this very, very, very warm, enrapturing, feeling that makes you feel good.
Yeah. And there's that statement, right? Love always wins. And I think it's so powerful and it's such a strong message that no matter what hate or legislations or rights get taken away, like your love will always stand.
Well, only if you really have love for yourself. And that's why I think pride is so important, and having pride for who you are and having pride for yourself. And this time of pride celebrations and Pride Month, your own self-love is so insanely important. And that's what I think is the best element to hold on to and the best piece that you should work on is really having love for yourself, because no one can take that away.
As RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can we get an amen?
Amen, girl.
Amen. So love is really important.
Yeah. And then you know what? And then love for who you truly love, and being able to express that
and own it confidently
in public, within your community, outside of your community, on the street, walking down, you know, shopping center. Like it can be so trivial, and just sitting in your car, but like everywhere you are, you should be able to express that affection openly.
Absolutely.
On this topic of love, I think that gay sex, queer sex, you know, sexuality, sensuality, that celebration is so important. And I think that is also one of the things that scares the shit out of certain people who don't get it, or who are looking at some pride festivals and they're seeing, you know, a lot of naked bodies. Something that was so important, and I remembered it, was when Sasha Colby was being interviewed after she won RuPaul's Drag Race on season 15. And she was getting a little bit of flack for wearing such risque clothing and
showing her body all the time.
Yeah, she was always in like a swimsuit or two-piece. And she said that she had made those decisions very consciously because she was protesting against what was happening in the United States and what is continuing to happen in the United States and around the world, you know, taking away freedoms and
trans rights,
trying to erase trans people, which is really scary. It really was a protest to showcase and herself, and to be really, you know, forward and raw and open, and saying like, this is who I am. This is my body. Fuck you.
Basically,
you know, like,
and she's got the body. She's a body yaddy yaddy.
Fully. And she was a performer, and she was an entertainer, and she like had such an interesting showcase of her talent. And I think that her being on that stage was so incredible, and we were always rooting for her to win from the beginning. But, you know, putting sensuality and sexuality really openly and celebrating the love and how we show compassion and affection to one another, and putting that really in the forward presentation of these types of celebrations is so important, because it's so repressed. Like, people just push down their sexuality and their sensuality out of fear of judgment, and maybe of what they've learned in traditional, you know, family units, and also just by culture in general, that kind of
what people around you say about other people that are on the street or holding hands or showing affection.
Yeah. And it's been also in some cases over sensationalized, and it's been almost turned into this really dirty, naughty porn thing, when it's actually, no, it's just two human beings being intimate with one another. Or it's an orgy and it's none of your fucking business.
Well, at Pride, it might definitely be an orgy, but
yeah, it's just like this celebration of liberation, of freedom. Like, it's like the sexual revolution in the 70s.
Right.
It's continuing on with all of these beautiful human beings that want to just be able to live their lives the way that they do without affecting anybody else. So, you know, amen to that. So I think that this other element of what we're celebrating Pride is queer sex, queer sexuality, and feeling empowered and really proud of that, and being able to communicate it and showcase that, and be like, no, we are human beings with the same
needs and desires,
needs of everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
And we shouldn't be fearful or ashamed.
And then I'd also say maybe like gender euphoria.
Yeah, I think in the same way, so much repression, like with gender norms, where, you know, you walk in and everything's pink or it's blue. You know, you have your option 1 or option 2, and there's so much intersexuality in there. There's so much diversity in who you are and how you present yourself and how you feel.
It can be pink and blue, right? But there has to be more complexity, and there has to be more diversity to it. It's not just this or that, or black or white.
Yeah.
Like, life is way more complex. Like, if life was just this or that, I mean, it wouldn't be as fun or as interesting as what it could be, you know?
Yeah. In modern cultures and in modern societies, so much of this has been erased from history. Like, people have lived in between the feminine and the masculine. There has always been a celebration of people that may exist in the middle or somewhere within the spectrum that isn't so traditional. And sometimes they were the spiritual leaders of their community. Sometimes they were the people who supported the children and the community in empathetic and incredibly meaningful ways. And sometimes they were looked at as deities and like gods. And I think that the tapestry of life is so incredible, specifically around gender. And when you look at like all these other different types of species on the planet that live in between, it's not just human beings.
No.
And I feel like so many people forget.
What about intersexuality? I think we've kind of spoken about gender euphoria, and I think you mentioned like the crossover. What about intersexuality?
Yeah, you can be a lot of things at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't have to just tick off one box and step into it. You know what I mean? Like that's what Pride is so cool, and going to these celebrations and going to these parades and these events and the hosted parties at night, if you're old enough, and even if you go to some daytime events that are family friendly, it's so important to see people that just exist within the middle and within a lot of spectrums and a lot of identities, like intersexuality. And being able to exist as many things at one time, you don't get it until you see it, until you see people living their lives, until you communicate and you have conversations with people and you allow them to express themselves. And then you can just be like, wow, fuck, life's really complex and really interesting. There's a natural, diverse aspect of human biology. You know, intersex variations could involve differences of chromosomes, right? Or hormones or anatomy. It's actually really important to note that intersex is distinct from gender identity, which is a person's like deeply held sense of being male or female or another gender. It is essential to respect and support the rights and dignity of intersex individuals in general. And Pride is a good time where you can provide appropriate healthcare, education, you know, and social acceptance, and just open up the dialogue and conversations around what it means to be human being. And it's celebratory, and it's really great to jump into these environments that are so joyous and everyone can be authentically who they are, and to meet some new people and to have just
open conversation,
especially if you don't know. One of the most important things this Pride, and it's been several Prides obviously, but this Pride especially, because it's become so apparent in the news that politicians are coming for drag queens, which in turns means that they're coming after trans people, which in turns means that they also aren't finished with the gays. So I think that it's actually insanely important to protect trans youth.
Absolutely.
Like organizations here in Australia, like Minus 18, or even in LA, which is the Los Angeles LGBT Center. They have incredible programs that are engaged to save the lives of many people who are going through traumatic experiences, who are going through transitions, and that feel that they really need life-saving support.
There's also the Pride Foundation in Australia, who are also doing a fundraiser to raise awareness and funds to protect trans youth. And I think it's so important because mental health is such a big issue, you know, and acceptance and love and belonging, it's all intertwined. And protecting these trans kids is so important. These are lives. These are human beings. These are people that are our sisters, are our cousins, are our friends, and we need to love them and accept them.
It is our responsibility to strike up more conversations, to take more action, and to help support programs that are set in place to help trans people. And there's a lot of gay history that most people don't know. Because growing up today, we've been born into a more progressive society.
Thanks to all of the work that the elders and past people of the community have done for us.
Yeah. And I think that part of that has been lots of drag queens, lots of trans people, and a very diverse group of people that have always been at the forefront of this movement and fighting for the rights that, and really the pleasures that we have to enjoy today.
Absolutely.
And now that it continues to be threatened with gay marriage on the line, or reproductive rights on the line, or just your ability to take a shit.
Right. Or go to the toilet freely. Well, I think that comes to the next point, fighting for your rights.
Yeah.
We've had so much backward motion with rights and legislations and attacks within the community and within our privacy and our livelihoods. It's so important to continue to strive forward and speak up on certain topics that need to be spoken up on.
Yeah, Pride is a political action event.
It's a political statement for the gays.
During this time, you also really have to recognize that gay marriage is pretty fresh still.
It is.
In Australia. And it isn't that long ago that we almost lost the right to be married in the United States. It was granted at one point in California, then it was taken away back before it was made a federal decision. Rights can be given to you.
And then stripped.
And then they can be taken away. That's just how laws work. Laws don't just like get written up and then become, set in stone forever.
Right.
That has never happened. And I think even with women's reproductive rights, with Roe v. Wade in America, everyone who felt like they had control of their bodies suddenly don't.
Exactly.
Because the law has changed.
So we've got to fight for those rights.
Yeah. And you need to actually stop sleeping and wake up and actually start voting. And I think that during Pride, it's a great opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about government and learn a little bit more about your council and what's going on around you, because there are being decisions made for you.
Yeah.
And during Pride, it's so important to be that, little activist.
Absolutely.
Just care a little bit more, do a little bit more, educate yourself and educate others. And one of the biggest ways that you can impact someone is to vote in people that will represent your best interests at heart, and just keep trying to be vocal and be more a part of your community.
Amen. There are some similarities between what people actually think Pride is compared to what it actually is.
Yeah.
There is a crossover between the rainbows and between the parties and between the celebration.
Yeah, that's so true. And it's also about communication, community, love, acceptance, protecting trans youth, protecting yourself and owning who you are, and really
feeling free. So while you're doing all of that, be sure that you're also having fun, you're having a drink, you're letting your hair down, and you're having a bit of a boogie, maybe to padam, but don't ever forget what the real cause of Pride is and why we fight for it.
So happy Pride, everybody.
Happy Pride. We love you.
Love, guys.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to Modern Gaze. We hope you're enjoying our podcast so far.
Make sure that you follow, turn on alerts, and even turn on auto downloads so that you get our episodes first.
Our episodes come out every Tuesday and they stream anywhere podcasts play.